All right, we made our plan finally, and I've got my seeds, so we're gonna start our first set of seeds today. And I'm pretty excited because this is an all-in moment. We're going all in this year. You may be asking yourself, what are you going all in on? Well, if you've been watching this show for any time, you know I've been struggling with Brussels sprouts, so this is the moment. We're doing 3 types at the same time and see which one produces the best. So typically I do just a couple Brussels sprout plants just to try it out, but this year, boom, we're going all in. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you where we're gonna put them, and I'm gonna explain to you why they're going there, because I have created this thing in my head that's actually gonna work pretty good. Already told you guys, and if you're new to the channel, I'll tell you briefly, these are my potatoes. They're almost done. They're starting to yellow. They're starting to die back. So we're starting to get pretty close. And you don't want to put tomatoes behind them because they're in the nightshade family, so we're going to put the Brussels sprouts here. Now we do have these green beans here on this trellis, and these trellises, albeit very useful back here, they actually do cause an issue, and my bed is no longer accessible from 4 sides. This year I came back and I redid my trellis. I pulled the wood out, I put these metal stakes in so at least those won't rot. And I came back and I did something that's a little bit wasteful, but in the long run I think it's going to help, because I had to do a little bit this year for one side and it helped a lot. And that's, I use these zip ties here to zip tie these on, and I can use metal clamps too, and there's a good possibility I can, but I have to get stainless steel ones so they don't weather as bad. And we could put those on here, but either way, we're gonna remove this after these green beans are done, and then we'll have access to the entire bed on this side. Not only that, but we may be able to even come back by and put something down right on this last final row. So I think this is gonna work out really good, because typically we don't do a lot of trellising stuff in the winter time. And if we do, I mean, we've got these arches back here that we can take full advantage of, and we really need to start focusing on those more than these. All right, so we got our seed order in, and I ordered 2 new sets of seed, and I'm using an old seed. And so what we're doing is we're gonna do 2 hybrids and 1 heirloom. Now, typically I'm a big heirloom grower. I love growing them. They are more difficult, but if I'm gonna save the seed, I'm definitely grow heirlooms. But I'm not saving the seed for these. So this is what led me to say, like, hey, why don't we try and see which one does better? Now, the ones that I just got, I got these 2 from Johnny Seeds, and I got the Gladius hybrid and the Sylvia hybrid. So they do have different benefits. My dog just took off through the woods. She's going for a squirrel probably. They do have different benefits. The Gladius was just a bigger producer and a faster producer, and the Sylvia had a disease resistance to, like, I think it was black rot and something else. Either way, when I made the decision, I made an educated decision, I'm pretty sure. And then the other one I have left over is from, and I don't like promoting this company, but I don't believe in throwing out stuff either. So I don't buy these seeds anymore, but these are Baker Creek seeds. And it's the Groninger Brussels sprout. And so I don't like their seeds. I've had a lot of troubles with them. Could be that their seed's not as good, and it could also be that they're heirlooms and I just struggle with some of them. Either way, I don't like using them. I will say Johnny's Seeds has a huge selection, and they have a lot of hybrids and they have some heirlooms. The problem is they're very expensive. But here's the key. Look at these seed packs. Okay, you've got Johnny Seed plain white, and then you got this really nice look-in pack. Now, I'm pretty sure on this one you're paying for this photo and this design, whereas this one, I'm pretty sure you're paying for the genetics and the seed itself, because clearly this ain't nothing to look at. This is a paper envelope. So I have this theory in life where I don't like to pay for marketing. When I buy a brand new cell phone, give it to me in a cardboard box and says phone, and I'm fine. I don't need that dopamine rush that comes through. It comes with age. I got away from it, and now I know that based off of marketing, you can save a lot of money on either one, you know, picture or genetics. Now, while we're on the topic of seeds, and after you're done roasting me for not liking Baker's Creek and talk bad about them, which is fine, leave a comment below on where you like to buy your seeds. I put out a poll recently about it, or a post just asking you guys, because I'm always looking for new places to buy seeds, and I base it all off of what they have to offer. So if they have heirlooms, hybrids, whatever that fits my needs, I'm definitely game to go. So leave a post down below, because I know there's a lot more companies out there that we just don't know about, and we can all share from each other. So the planting plan for these is going to go like this. Once we remove everything out of this bed, I'm going to go ahead and put the heirloom variety on this back row. There's going to be 3 rows. So we're going to put the heirloom variety back here, and I'm going to give it a week head start. And then I'm going to do another one, and then I'm going to give it a week head start. And then I'm going to do the last one and give it, you know, well, actually no head start because there's nothing in front of it. But I think that'll allow the back ones to grow higher, and then we can have them going through. Not only that, but we can stagger our harvest a bit. Because I mean, honestly, what good is a bed full of Brussels sprouts if I got to harvest them all at the same time? I'm just going to have a full belly of nothing but fresh Brussels sprouts, and then I'm not going to have anything for a while. And so when we decided to do this, we were talking, and when I say we, I mean my wife and I, we were talking about how much we like Brussels sprouts, how much we grow them. And I was saying, like, hey, we eat a lot of Brussels sprouts. We really need to ramp it up a bit. And this is the year where I really want to figure out, I'm getting closer and closer each year. I had to put you down and work while I talk. So we decided that we had, you know, we ate a lot of Brussels sprouts. We wanted to grow more. I started looking into the different harvest yields per plant so I could get a good idea of what we were going to get off of each plant. And this is really important. And so what I learned is that you can get anywhere from 1 to 5 pounds of harvest per plant. Now, that's a hell of a range. I mean, 1 to 5 pounds, how do you plan for something like that? So what I typically do is when I get a range like that, I say, okay, 1 to 5 pounds, and we go in half. So we're gonna say 2.5 pounds, which is not really half because that would be 0 to 5, but you get what I'm saying. And so then I say, well, I'm not very good at growing Brussels sprouts so far. Now this is the earliest that I've put them in, so it should give them more growth. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna say that we could get anywhere from 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts per plant. So that gives us a good idea of how much to plant. Using this number is what we're gonna call it, is not scientific fact. It is nothing, because there are a lot of factors that go into it if you even get a harvest, but we're not gonna act like we're not going to get a harvest, right? We don't want to start off on a bad foot. So I said, we're going to use a whole bed. And off of that whole bed, let's say that you harvest 1 plant at a time, and you have 24 plants in there. Now you're definitely going to get some loss, more than likely. So we're going to take that down to 20 plants. Then you can start to see how we're looking at this and hoping that if we get 20 plants, 2 meals per plant of Brussels sprouts, then we should have 40 meals of Brussels sprouts. And if you eat them 2 days a week, which is usually what we do, sometimes even 3, but obviously we'll have to either eat less or buy some more, then you can start to see how of those 40 meals, 2 days a week, I mean, that's 20 weeks worth of Brussels sprouts if we're lucky and if we time. I mean, this is all like perfect scenario. So that being said, that led us to go down this path and really try and give it like the total go and get as much as we can off of this. And the one thing that is going to be tricky for me personally is keeping all of these organized. So that's going to be a hard one for me. I don't know how that's going to work and how that's going to look in the future, but we're going to do the best we can. And so we're going to do 2 of each, 2 6-packs of each one. Now I do sell seedlings, but I'm not going to sell Brussels sprouts because nobody really wants to eat Brussels sprouts. Okay, so I decided since these were the fresher seeds, I just did 3 6-packs of each. I already have a 6-pack of the heirlooms going, so I'm not really concerned about those at all. So if we have extra space, which we should have 2 extra spots, then we'll pick which one goes in the other. So I'm gonna top dress these, and I'm gonna tell you, I did this year. I started, and I really enjoyed what I got out of topping with perlite. I won't top with anything else ever again other than perlite. And that's going to affect a few things based on how we're starting these seeds. For the bulk of my seed starting, I use Pro Mix seed starting mix, but this one I just use screen topsoil. And so you can see like we've got these sticks in there and stuff, so just pull those out. But with this, I just lay the seed in the divot that I made with my fingers that you probably saw me do earlier. And then I don't even cover them up with soil. I just use this perlite, and it's so light that the seeds can just push up, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you want fluffy soil for the roots to be able to penetrate, but I've really enjoyed the way this has worked out for me. And I just kind of lay it on pretty thick, and it gives it, you know, it keeps it nice and moist and gives it in. And then when I put it in my garden, it also will add back to the soil and add more aeration and drainage. And especially because I have some compaction issues, this really helps. So a couple questions that you didn't ask yourself, but I definitely asked mine is, hey Ben, since you got all those fancy seed containers this year, the 72 cell, the 162s and all that, why didn't you use those? Well, it's pretty easy. My goal is to have these outside getting started. So I'm going to leave them back here in the shade until they pop, and then I'm going to move them into the sun. And so if I'm going to leave them outside and it's going to get warm, I'm going to have to be really diligent about watering them. But I also don't want to turn my LED lights on and have things inside and have the hardening off process and all that. So having these deeper cells will allow more water to stay in the container longer and keep them watered, so I don't have to worry about as often, because those smaller cells, they can dry out really fast, and I don't want to deal with that. And the other ones, I did the 6-pack couple videos ago. I showed you guys, and it's already popped and it's out in the sun, so I do know that it will work. So we're just going to try and keep on to that and just try as much as possible to not be putting things under LED lights this summer. Now in the spring and stuff like that, for sure. But we're also having a very cool spring. So we've only gotten into the upper 80s like 3 or 4 times. It's been staying in the 70s, and it's in the, you know, upper 50s to low 60s at night right now. And we're expecting that for another week or 2. So we should actually get some pretty good germination and get them going before the heat kicks in. Now I do reserve the right to put them inside whenever I need to. You guys may not have commented yet, and there will be a comment one day about hybrids and stuff, but let me go ahead and just get it out in the open. Because it is a hybrid, it is not a GMO seed. You cannot purchase a genetically modified seed to put in your garden. There are legalities behind it. There are contracts to be signed by farmers so that the seed's not saved and spread and all that stuff. I'm not saying they're good by any means, and I'm personally 100% against it. But that being said, this is not something that you have to worry about when you're getting a hybrid seed. All it means is they took 2 plants and cross-pollinated them. There was nothing injected into the DNA of it, nothing created, anything like that. You know, it's like if you took one human being that naturally showed cancer resistance to one that didn't, and you started breeding them together, these 2 groups, then they would form, in theory, a human being that had a higher resistance to cancer. This is all hypothetical. I don't even know if they're doing stuff like that, but this is all hypothetical. So it's the same thing. It is not a genetically modified seed, so don't even worry about that. If I even thought for a split second that I could get a genetically modified seed in my garden, then I would stop right then and I would start vetting information, contacting people, and doing a lot of research. But I do know that if you buy a genetically modified seed, you have to go through, you have to sign a waiver, you have to sign your rights away basically. You can't save the seed, and if you get caught saving the seed, there's actually jail time and high fines incorporated into that. So this isn't something that we're worried about for this. Goodbye.